Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. We've got your HCC news and information for the next half hour or so. Thanks for joining us this morning. Brittany Pacheco, my co-host, joining us from her house across town. Good morning, Brittany.
Good morning, Todd, and good morning to everyone joining us on Facebook Live. We appreciate you being here with us this beautiful, beautiful morning. Go outside and enjoy the weather because you never know when it's going to rain again. But in the meantime, be sure to like our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram, and head over to YouTube because we've got thousands of videos at your disposal, all produced by our very own HCCTV. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be the first to find out the latest. And lastly, please share this podcast. That way we can grow our audience and get this information out to our community.
Well, you know, Brittany, you know who else does, you never know when it's going to rain. You know who else falls in that category?
I don't.
The meteorologists in this city. I don't think they've been able to get it right in the past few months, but hopefully we'll have a nice day today, and who knows, some rain may pop up. That's just Houston weather. But we've got a great show lined up for you. We're reaching out across the nation. You know, a lot of museums have gone online to give you a chance to look inside, and we've got a representative, some from the Smithsonian Institution, Ashley Naranjo. Thank you for being here. It's going to be great to speak with you about the Smithsonian. Very excited about that. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're going to have more with you in a moment. But first, we're going to start off with Dr. Cheryl Peters. Dr. Peters is our Executive Director of the Honors and Weekend Colleges here at Houston Community College. Good morning to you, Dr. Peters.
Good morning, Todd. Thank you so much for having me on this show. I love sharing the good news about the two wonderful programs I'm blessed and privileged to run. And thank you for having me this morning.
Absolutely. I want to talk about the Honors College first because it seems like one way or another, we always seem to get members of the Honors College stopping by HCCTV, and we see them all around. They're very great ambassadors for HCC. Tell us first off what the Honors College is.
Okay, well, the Honors College is, we deliberately recruit students who are new students to college because they don't have a bunch of college hours. And we started it in 2006, and we are now have our 14th freshman class this year. We were at Central College for our first 10 years. And then the last 4 years, we've opened 3 other locations. So we have locations at Central College, Stafford campus, Spring Branch Northwest, and East Side, our newest campus that opened this year with a freshman class. And currently dispersed among these campuses, there's 141 students, but will definitely grow next year when East Side takes on its second class of freshmen, so they'll be full.
And I know these students always have a lot on their plate. They not only are taking their studies or participating in the Honors College, and they get a lot of great opportunities like traveling, Astros games. Tell us about some of those things.
Yes, it's so amazing. We have kind of a three-cornered stool. We have our curriculum. It's studied in cohorts and deliberate leadership development. But the thing that probably attracts students more than anything is the opportunity to study, travel abroad, and also to take place in many, many different activities together as a cohort group. So for example, the last year we had an Astros night at the ball game. One of our students threw out the opening pitch. It was so much fun to be with them from across the system. Of course, they have the opportunity to, since they're excellent students, they go to scholarship luncheons. They have the opportunity to interact frequently with the chancellor because leadership is a very important component of this. Many of them are the officers in the major organizations, so oftentimes it's an honors college student who speaks at graduation. But probably the most important thing, the hook for everyone, is the chance to study travel abroad.
Right.
And I have to admit, we have gone to so many wonderful places in Europe over the last, I was about to say 14, but I have to say 13 years, because this year our trip to Florence, Italy was canceled only probably 2 weeks before we would have taken off.
Right. Things changed dramatically for all of us, but I know you guys were in Italy a couple of years ago with the chancellor, because I had a chance to post some of your pictures in social media, and the students actually get a chance to not only travel with you and the chancellor, but they get a chance to have conversations with him, sometimes one-on-one, to go out to dinners and to really learn from his experience and get his inside thoughts.
Yes, it's been an incredible experience to have him along, and he's so that at first the students sometimes feel a little intimidated, but it breaks down because he breaks that down. He is so friendly. He's truly interested in them. He wants to help support their dreams and aspirations. He's supported them with letters to different transfer universities where, he feels like his word might help a little more. And the other wonderful thing is that a few of the places we've gone, he has never been. So he's also a student learning, and that's been such wonderful synergy between the student groups. So he was so transformed by his visit, the first visit to Florence, Italy, that it really kind of almost became a theme of transformation and integration of cultures and disciplines when he came back in many of his public appearances and things like that. So our travels have been wonderful, and I want to say they start from early in the morning till late at night. It's not a vacation, it's a chance to soak in everything: culture, art, architecture, history, food. They're merely one, and to do that with your friends by this point in they're the last semester of their sophomore year, they're all very tightly bonded, and it just creates the best imaginable travel experience.
Tell me a bit about how someone can get involved with the Honors College if you've got a son or daughter who you want to be in this Honors College, or a student that's interested. How do they go about doing it?
Right. Now, I want to send you immediately we have an Honors College site off our main webpage, off the main HCCS webpage. If a student or if somebody will simply click on programs and courses, and then there's a menu, and Honors College is down on that menu. And as soon as they hit on that, it opens a very robust page. We do have a separate application because we have requirements. High school students need to have a 3.5 GPA. They need to be college ready. And I'm not going to go into specific scores. Sure. They need to be college ready, at least in reading and writing. They have to write an essay to tell us a little bit about their topics, and we invite them for an interview so that we know this student will greatly benefit from Honors College. So another thing I just want to mention, Todd, too, is we have a very diverse student body, just like HCC is anyway. But that diversity that's brought in students from all over the world, although it is primarily made up of local students, I want to emphasize that. But it's a wonderful learning opportunity to hear and study together with people who come from different cultures and different perspectives. So what I want to say to people today is go to the website off the HCC main page and look over the application and the materials that we have there. For example, on that page, we also tell the list of almost 50 colleges that our students have transferred to. And it's so impressive. And this year we've added Rutgers, University of Virginia, NYU, and Savannah College of Design. These were colleges that weren't on our list, but there's Ivies, every college in Texas, and regional college. So we're able, the great benefit is not only the privilege of studying, but the chance to get a leg up and get into your dream university. And we're able to make that happen for students. It's so exciting.
It sure is. We've only got a few moments left, but can you briefly tell us a little bit about the weekend college?
Okay, the weekend college is its primary market is working adults who want to come back to school and finish that degree that somewhere along the way when life intervened, they had to put down because of our student body tends to be a little bit older than the Honors College students. We're offering two business degree plans, the AAS in Business Administration and the AA in Business, so it's focused around that. It has been a Saturdays only program, and it has been a program where people came and did some in-person work and then some online work. Our coursework is hybrid. This fall we'll have some options, since I know people are, nervous about the coronavirus, and we only have online classes in the summer. So in the fall there will be some flexibility around that, but we're still very nurturing. I took all the best practice principles from the Honors College and converted it to the weekend college. It's just there's not a specialized admission. So it's open to anyone.
We're certainly proud of both of those programs. And Dr. Cheryl Peters, we appreciate you joining us this morning and bringing us up to date on the Honors College and Weekend College. And folks, if you're looking to links for those both of those colleges, you can find them in this post in social media, or also go to our main website and simply look at the magnifying glass at the top and search for Honors College or Weekend College. Dr. Peters, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you. And we're going to move across the country to the Washington, D.C. area. A few years ago, I had a chance to revisit the Smithsonian. I hadn't been there since I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And I went back just a couple of years ago, and it was incredible. And Ashley, I've got to tell you, I got to see things that I saw when I was 8 or 9 years old that are still there. And it was so cool to see those memories weave back into what it is in real life. I guess, not everybody's getting a chance to get out and visit museums right now, but you guys are opening your doors and doing your programs online. Tell us about that, but I know first you've got a brief statement you want to read about some things that are going on across the country that you kind of weaved into your programs at the Smithsonian.
Sure. Thanks, Todd. So again, my name is Ashley Naranjo. I'm a museum educator at the Smithsonian. I'm coming to you live from Washington, D.C., just a few blocks north of the National Zoo. And so actually, I wanted to kind of reiterate that the Smithsonian is more than just a physical destination. We have been offering online programs and a variety of different learning resources. And in my work, a lot of times I work with school districts across the country. And I'm always struck by the way that historical documents and artworks really kind of help connect us to powerful stories of Americans and their persistence for change and their resilience too. So like Todd said, I wanted to begin with a statement from our secretaries, the Smithsonian Secretary, Lonnie G. Bunch III. And I'll just read a few excerpts of it. And I think our team here will also link to it in the chat box if you'd like to read more about it. So I'll share my screen so you can read along. Like many Americans, watching multiple incidents of deadly violence against Black people unfold before our eyes has left us feeling demoralized and distraught, aghast and angry. Not only have we been forced to grapple with the impact of a global pandemic, we have been forced to confront the reality that despite gains made in the past 50 years, we are still a nation riven by inequality and racial division. The state of our democracy feels fragile and precarious. Once again, we struggle to make sense of the senseless. Once again, we bear witness to our country's troubled history of racial violence, from Freddie Gray and Eric Gardner to Sandra Bland and Trayvon Martin. Once again, we try to cope as best we can, whether suffering in silence, participating in protests, or engaging in conversations that evoke all of our emotions. Once again, we try to explain to our children that which cannot be explained. Once again, we pray for justice and we pray for peace once again.
Very powerful statement, Ashley. And I know you guys have been able to weave current events into some of the educational materials you've been delivering online. Maybe you can tell us about your new online portal and what we're looking at right now.
Sure, Todd. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge that this is the work of the education team at the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And even before the the actual museum building was built and open to the public, they had convened and facilitated conversations talking about race. And so I know this is something that individuals are grappling with, but I know also families at the dinner table are having these conversations. And what I really like about this resource, and again, we'll share this in the chat so that you can explore it, it includes things like videos, research articles, key critical questions that we can ask and also grapple with ourselves. There's a section for educators specifically as they explore this with their own learners, parents and caregivers, as well as just people who are committed to equity too. So this is a great resource to check out from the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And it provides a lot of guide rails for some of those critical conversations.
And you're open for educators, teachers, and wanting to fit this into their plans. They would simply reach out to you and they can incorporate this into their curriculum as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. Everything that I'm about to share with you today and everything that you find on Smithsonian websites are free. And so this is something that we really hope that, like I said, educators, but also caregivers, as they're exploring these types of conversations, can include in the ways that they're talking about these important topics. I should mention too that kind of in mid-March, a group of about 100 educators from across the Smithsonian identified, aligned, and are continuing to develop new resources from the Smithsonian. And so I'm currently on the Smithsonian's distance learning page, and you can kind of see as I scroll through, there's resources for national audiences too. So as teachers are thinking about what instruction might look like this fall, there's resources for them. There's also bilingual resources as well, which I know is of particular interest to a lot of teachers to reach all of their students. We have local resources, of course, for our DC public schools, resources for caregivers, and I want to mention there are what we're calling kind of learning activity choice boards, and there's over 200 activities that students and children during the summer can explore, and they're across history, culture, art, and science. There's some hands-on experiments, some crafts, and some great kind of online interactives too that students can explore here. Some resources for tweens and teens, some online office hours too to connect with us directly if you have a question about Smithsonian resources. And then finally, a distance learning events calendar too. So almost every single day, you can have the opportunity to talk to a paleontologist, to chat about the first American spacewalk, to think about, different topics from a variety of different disciplines too. So there's really kind of a wealth of information on this page for us as well.
I wanted to ask you about a section for online crowdsourcing. Tell me about what that's about.
Sure. So the Smithsonian actually has historical documents, many of which are kind of difficult to decipher, cursive handwriting, right? And so these documents, whether they're field books or diaries or letters, have the need to be transcribed. And so there's an online crowdsourcing platform. If you're interested in exploring the historical record with the Smithsonian, you have the opportunity to help contribute as part of a community. One example might be if you go here to the homepage and click on projects, you can see the variety of different projects that are available that people can contribute to. There's historical documents too from the Freedmen's Bureau. So if you're starting to grapple with history and start to think about perhaps the Reconstruction era, there's ways that you can actually contribute to making these documents accessible for others as they're learning as well. So I think that's a really unique opportunity that you can do online to help support the Smithsonian and support other learners.
So that's pretty cool. So you can go in and try to translate, 1850s cursive writing, which is certainly seems like a language in and of itself, especially when it comes to it. I'm always amazed. I don't know about you, but I'm always amazed when I look at these old documents and someone's transcribed it and I'm trying to read it. It's just amazing how someone can do it. But now they can do it online as part of a public record.
Absolutely. And you can do this from anywhere too. So we have, what we call volunteers rather than volunteers. And it's a community of folks that are transcribing these records. You can transcribe or review to check people's work. And then what's wonderful about this is that this becomes then searchable for learners across the country.
What about oral histories? Why don't you tell me about that briefly?
Sure. So one of the things that the Smithsonian does as archivists and historians is conduct oral histories. And at this moment in time, I really think the youth voice matters. And we are currently living through history, whether it's through the pandemic, whether it's through the protests. And this is a way to really help students have kind of power in their own voice. And so oral histories really are a technique that museums use quite often. And so there's tips. There's videos you can see here. There's a young student reporter, as well as a historian from the Smithsonian Archives, as well as some tips on getting started on how to conduct your own interview.
Well, being video people here at HCCTV, we're all interested in things like that. In fact, we've had a number of students who have created video projects like that we posted online as well. You know, you mentioned something briefly, and I want to go back to it before we wrap up. We're living history right now. Just think of 100 years from now, people are going to be able to go back and scan through these crazy shows and podcasts and video live streams and really get a glimpse of the humanity, but then again, the craziness that's going on in society in 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a common question that students always have as they're doing projects in school is, how does this relate, right? And so I think this is an opportunity to be able to, really have students have that voice and see how they're currently living through history and how they can connect it to the past and the historical record.
Ashley Naranjo from the Smithsonian, we really appreciate you joining us this morning, and we really give you kudos to the staff over there for letting everyone see what you have available online. It sounds like you guys were way ahead of the curve before this horrible COVID pandemic hit because you had the resources available, and kudos for really being ahead of that.
Thanks so much, Todd.
Thank you, Ashley. We appreciate you being here. We're going to move on to, and all the things Ashley was talking about, folks, look in the post of this video afterwards. We're going to have all the links for you so you can go visit the sites and take a look at the oral histories and the crowdsourcing. All that's going to be in our post as well. Good morning again, Brittany. Thanks again for being here. Any comments we're getting in social media today?
It's actually been pretty quiet. I think a lot of people are really interested in what Ashley had to share with us with the Smithsonian. And, if you're a history buff like me, Todd, I know you are too, I really felt like this is a very national treasure-esque, type stuff, which is really cool, really amazing. I went to the Smithsonian for the very first time about 13 years ago, and it was just overwhelming. I would love to go back and take my husband, who's never been to Washington, D.C., to check out these museums, especially the aircrafts, because he's a nerd when it comes to stuff that. Yeah. So great information that Ashley shared with us. And I think it's great that we're connecting across the country and having these resources available for everyone during this time.
It was one of the highlights of going to DC was getting a chance to see the Smithsonian and reliving those childhood memories. And Ashley, I don't know if you remember, but back in my news days, I want to say it was around 97 or so, I believe the Smithsonian went on a national tour. And they set up here in Houston, Texas at the George R. Brown Convention Center and actually brought some of the treasured items so that people could see it on a traveling tour. Do you recall that?
Absolutely, yeah. So that was actually for our 150th anniversary of the Smithsonian, and we're actually coming up on the 175th anniversary in just a few years. Yeah. But also, thinking about the ways that even just in the past 25 years, having all of these assets online has really helped teachers and students and even lifelong learners like Brittany really have access to all of these rich resources that can really help us make sense of today and look at things from different perspectives, from science, history, culture, and the arts. So
Absolutely. You know, Brittany, that was just a mic drop right there. Here I talk about my days in the news. Well, that was our 150th anniversary. Now we're looking at 175. Way to make me feel old here. Wow. That was interesting. It's hard to believe that was that long ago, but yeah, I guess it was, Brittany. We're getting old here, Brittany.
I could tell you how old I was in 1997, Todd, if you really want.
Go ahead, Brittany. Make me feel older. Why not? Were you in what, grade school?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. You were too young to watch my reports back then. Anyway.
I remember seeing you on TV. I remember.
All right. You make me feel real old. All right, Brittany. So let's get on to events and announcements. We've got COVID testing happening on our campuses across the district right now.
That is correct. We actually have these happening across 2 of our campuses. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Northeast campus. So that started yesterday, June 3rd, and it's happening all the way till this Saturday, June 6th. Happening from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, you do need an appointment if you are going to the Northeast location. That information can be found on the graphic that we're going to throw up here. There's a phone number. There's also a website that you can go to in order to make that appointment. The second location that we are having has been ongoing at our Southeast location. It's an extension. I think this is the second, maybe even third time this has been extended. This is happening all the way through tomorrow, June 5th, which is Friday. And that's happening from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. until they hit capacity. Simply show up this location. You do not need an appointment. Don't ask me why. I don't make the rules. This is just what it is.
You don't? We seem to think you do make the rules, but okay, go ahead, keep going.
Well, you know, in my world, yes, I do. But yes, so be sure to look up the information, which location is closest to you, if it's Northeast or Southeast. But be sure, if you are looking to be tested for COVID, to utilize these sources. This is open to our communities, not just for the HCC family.
You know, one thing we have going on here at HCC today, a virtual coffee break with our Janet May, who is our talent engagement officer here at HCC. Today, she's got, Dr. Shantae Grays, Vice Chancellor of Student Services, and Greg Cunningham. We know him. He's the police chief here at HCC, always here every Wednesday on Up to the Minute. You can grab a cup of coffee and join Janet May and her special guest to talk about today's tumultuous times. And if you didn't see yesterday's show with the chief, join it this morning or go back and watch yesterday's show. He had some great points to make, and it was a very meaningful show for many of us. So take a look at that, but you can register for this virtual online session through an email that was sent out to all HCC staff and faculty. We've also got virtual info sessions going on now, Brittany, through the end of the summer to help students enrolling.
Exactly, students, and I would highly encourage you all to utilize this resource. It's virtual, it's information sessions that cater to what you may need when it comes to applying, testing. I know there's been a lot of questions about the TSI testing in order to see where you fall for classes. All that good information is right at your fingertips. So please go and register today by going to hccs.edu/information sessions for more information.
HCC has launched a new program to retrain and retool Houstonians, especially those that have lost their jobs over the last few months. It's called jobsnowhouston.org. This initiative is to help train people for jobs in 5 different areas, Brittany. And these are jobs really that just came about in the last few months. And the sad part about it, about 1.5 million Texans have filed for unemployment. On the upside, here in Houston alone, folks, we've got about 200,000 new jobs that were vital jobs, they were essential jobs, and they're available, and we're here to connect you with those.
Correct. So those 5 areas that are super crucial at this time and are going to be in demand now and then in demand after this pandemic are healthcare, logistics, manufacturing, IT, and construction. So this is specifically to get individuals back into the workplace. This is actually not for hire at HCC. I have to say this because a lot of people still send us questions about this. They'd love to work for HCC. That's great to hear, but this is not what this initiative is for. So if you're interested in any of these 5 areas that I previously mentioned, head over to jobsnowhouston.org for more information and to see how HCC can help train you for your new job.
We've also got a program kind of along the same vein, but this is a bargain for you. It's called Change My Life for $20. It's a campaign through the Adult High School and Career for You Academy. Registration opens June the 8th, and it really only costs $20 to sign up for a program at HCC. You can get a short-term certification and go out there and get gainfully employed. And really, Brittany, the training costs $20.
Yeah, it's almost too good to be true, but it's too good. I mean, not too good to be true. I mean, it's real.
It is true.
It is true. Yeah. So if you're looking to complete your GED or take ESL classes or take part in one of our Career for You programs, this is something that you should utilize. So for more information, head over to hccs.edu/changemylife.
And finally, summer and fall registration underway right now. You can register for both. Of course, summer classes online in the fall. You're going to hear about that very shortly, but we will tell you we're going to have classes in the fall. Register now for them. More than likely, some will be on campuses, some will be online. More to come on that, but register today. And where can they go to do so, Brittany?
Head over to hccs.edu/now for your summer and fall classes. So lastly, I also want to tell our students that you can utilize the virtual lobby form if you have any questions, very specific questions that cater to your case that maybe we can't answer off the top of our heads, because although we try, we're not the subject matter experts in everything, but we are going to put you in touch with the correct people to help you with your situation. So utilize the virtual lobby. You can go to our homepage, and at the very top there's a green banner, and at the very bottom there are 4 blue buttons. Look for the one that says virtual lobby and be sure to take advantage of that.
Tomorrow on the show, it's a Friday, of course. We're wrapping up the week with guests from the Northeast College, automotive and truck driving. One of the essential jobs that just kept going and is in high demand is a truck driving school. We can get you trained here at HCC, and we're going to talk with members of the truck driving school. Also, Dean David Vogel of HCC's automotive programs will be here as well. It's going to be a great show. We look forward to seeing you wrapping up the week tomorrow. I want to thank our guests for today, Dr. Cheryl Peters and Ashley Naranjo, joining us from Washington, D.C. Thanks for being here, Ashley.
Thanks again for having me.
We appreciate you highlighting the Smithsonian. Make sure you check all the websites we're going to link in the social media post to see about everything Ashley was letting us know about today. Brittany, thank you for being here.
Of course, Todd, and thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.